What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I'm really looking forward to tonight's fights. Gennady Golovkin, Gabriel Rosado, Mikey Garcia, and Orlando Salido. Check out my prediction videos on those two fights. I think it's going to be really good. Um, I did decide to do something a little bit different. I wanted to make a video about stars to watch in the year of 2013. This is basically a list in no particular order of people in the boxing world that I feel are going to do more for their name or their legacy or to build their buzz up. So just breakout stars, people who I think are going to put on some good performances this year and make that step to becoming more of a household name or a pay-per-view name. And let's get started. First person I want to say is Danny Garcia. And I think Danny Garcia really set the tone for this in 2012. He had an impressive win over Eric Morales. He knocked him down late in the fight. Then he went on to fight Amir Khan, and he was a serious underdog. He defeated Amir Khan in an upset via TKO. Due to a rematch clause, he fought Eric Morales one more time, and then he knocked him out this time in the fourth round. And I just think Danny Garcia has the skills, he has the momentum, and he's ready. He sounds like he trains hard. That's one thing you can't say about Philly fighters. I mean, Rocky was from Philly. You can't put it past them. It looks like they really do the training. One thing I noticed early on, they were doing the 24/7, or maybe it was just a video I seen on YouTube. I'm not really sure, but Amir Khan's at Freddie Roach's gym in Hollywood, and it looks like pretty nice and lackadaisical. And I see people in the background drinking Starbucks and different stuff like that. And then when they showed Danny Garcia, I seen Danny Garcia training. He's in some crummy Philly ran down gym. It looked like the gym that Apollo Creed was at um, in the Rocky 3, I think it was. It just it wasn't the nicest gym, and that's the perfect atmosphere for a fighter. You don't necessarily have to have a whole bunch of high tech machinery and nice palm trees and sights to see. You're supposed to sweat, work, put in work, spar, and that's all you really need. So that's one thing about Philly fighters you can't take away. They work under they're gully. They work in different climates and conditions, and they're still able to produce. And I think as a fighter, having a gym like that can be a great tool because that's motivation. You don't need, like I said, it doesn't have to be all glammed up for you to do what you got to do. So that's just my opinion. Anyway, Danny Garcia, I think, is someone to look for. He's fighting February 9th against Zab Judah. On paper, I did a prediction video on paper. Zab Judah, style-wise, should eat Danny Garcia up. But I picked Danny Garcia to win that fight. I just think he's going to find some way to win that particular fight. And he has heart, from what I've seen. And his hooks are nasty. And I just feel he's going to find a way to win. Anytime you have a fighter, one who showcased heart or more heart, and someone who showcased the ability to quit, I'm always going to go with the fighter with heart. That's just my opinion. So if you pit Marcos Maidana against Victor Ortiz, I'm probably going to pick Marcos Maidana just because Marcos Maidana has heart and Victor Ortiz doesn't. Like, so if they were to rematch, I would probably pick Marcos Maidana again. So that's just my stance on it. Danny Garcia, he's lethal with the left hook and his hooks, and he's patient. And a lot of people don't give him credit, but even though he doesn't, what's the word? He leaves himself open, kind of, but nobody's been able to effectively counter it to the point where I don't know. It's really hard to explain because some of these shots it doesn't seem like he would land them because he's not the fastest dude, and it looks like he swings wide, but at the same time, no one has stopped him yet. So he's still undefeated. I just think he's gonna have a breakout year. I think he does beat Zab Judah. They're talking about a fight with Amir Khan later in the year. Could be good, but I would lean more towards Danny Garcia on that fight again. Next person, and this is in no particular order, but the next person I want to bring up is Leo Santa Cruz. I just really like this kid. I think everybody should watch the Showtime special that they had on him leading up to his CBS fight. And he's just talking about his home life. They delve into his personal life, his family life. And not only is he fighting in the ring, he has many fights that he's fighting outside of the ring, and it just seems like it's making him humble and very appreciative and hungry for success. They were saying he has a big family and he's trying to buy his family a bigger house because everyone's kind of crowded in a small living arrangement. And one of the saddest parts of the special was Leo Santa Cruz was mentioning that he has an older brother who used to box, and then one day, I guess before a fight, he started feeling sharp pains. He went to the hospital at some point. They thought he had HIV. Then they diagnosed him with something else, and then after all the tests were ran, they found out that he suffers from lupus. So in the special, he's talking about how he's not only fighting for himself, but he's fighting for his family and his brother who has lupus. They're trying to do anything he can. Obviously, anybody who suffers cancer or lupus or anything that life-threatening, medical bills, and I mean that's costly, a lot of hardship. So he said he's looking for treatments and a cure and any type of research that would help his brother's cause. He's trying to support. So as a young man, that's definitely something that's very commendable to me, and I just really like Leo Santa Cruz. As far as in the ring, he's lethal with these body shots. I don't know how many. I've watched him for a while, but he's lethal. I think he displayed this perfectly against his fight with Eric Morrell. If you watch the Eric Morrell and Abner Mars fight, it was a little bit more give and take. But in the Leo Santa Cruz, he was really just chewing up Eric Morrell's body. He was tattooing his rib cage with just nasty body shot, bow, bow, like one after another, to the point where I've only seen this fight once and I still vividly remember it. If you look at Eric Morrell's side and his rib cage, it looked like it was branded. It was just red all around, like where he was getting slaughtered. He was getting his ribs just tore up. So I think Santa Cruz has a big future ahead of him. If he keeps on the same path, stays hungry, and just stays working, I think he has a big future. I would honestly like to see him maybe take another tune-up fight or two and then fight Abner Mars, because we all know Abner Mars and Nonito Donaire. That fight may or may not happen based on the promotional company's differences. So that would be a fight I would like to see. Leo Santa Cruz moving up in weight and fighting Abner Mars. Another fighter, Gary Russell Jr., DC's own. This guy, he's talented. I noticed it from an early onset. He has three boxing brothers, and he comes from a boxing family. I think he picked up boxing when he was in like 95 or 96. He has three brothers that box as well. And usually the fighters that come from boxing families, it's instilled at them at a young age. So I think this guy like has the intangibles. He just hasn't been pitted against the toughest competition. I will say that. But just look at traditional boxing families. Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. and his son. You got the Mayweathers, are probably one of the more famous ones. Roberto Garcia, the fighter slash current trainer, and Mikey Garcia. I mean, there's a lot of boxing families, and that's the best for a boxer when it's instilled in them at a young age. So I think Gary Russell Jr., he just has to have his coming out party by facing someone who is a legitimate contender, legitimate champion. But the guy's hand speed is incredible. He has footwork. It looks like he's more of a complete fighter than a lot of people. Some fighters, they have speed or power, and that's really that's their go-to weapon. That's what they rely on. But for me, I think I see Gary Russell Jr. as being more of a complete fighter, more of a balanced fighter, and he just needs to get in the mix with some of the bigger names and get a title shot, hopefully this year. But Gary Russell Jr., I think he's the truth. There's a video on YouTube. I think it's called Gary Russell Jr.'s six-punch combination. And if you just watch how fast he throws six punches, it's ridiculous. But I think this guy has a real bright future ahead of him. Another fighter in the same vein, Adrien Broner. Can't leave the list off without Adrien Broner. I mean, what can I say? He's young, cocky, he's flashy, he's arrogant. You either love him or hate him. I personally, I don't care about all that side antics and brush my hair and all that. As a fighter, the dude got skills, and I'll always admit skills before anything else, personal life or whatever. But in the ring, he does what he needs to do. Like I said, you're going to either love him or hate him. Some people discredit him. They say, oh, Ponce de Leon beat him or should have beat him. There's always going to be those fights that are up for grabs in terms of their close fights, and there's going to be a difference of opinion. But since that time, he's just showing improve, and it looks like he's maturing in the ring. He's fighting with a level of patience and his offense and defense. Another balanced fighter, and a lot of people expected DeMarco to just run through him. He was moving up in weight, and he dismantled DeMarco for the entire fight. I think they gave him one round on Harold Lederman's card. I didn't give DeMarco any rounds because even though he did better that round, I think they were talking about round 2 or 3. Even though he did better in the round, I don't think it was enough to win the round. I think I had it as a shutout for Adrien Broner in the DeMarco fight. So just little things like that. Move it up in the weight. You fight the top guy who's off of an incredible win against John Molina in one round, less than a minute, and you do that to him. This kid got talent. He's fighting Gavin Reese next. I think he definitely beats Gavin Reese. And like I said, Adrien Broner, he's really a threat to anybody in the 135 pound. I don't really see anyone in the 135 pound ranking that's going to really fuck with him. Ricky Burns, I mean, I just really don't see it. Some people want to see Vasquez fight him. I don't see anyone at 135. I think he won't really receive legitimate challenges until he moves up to 140, or if he goes to 147 or something. Then that's where it's more of a stacked division, and he'll be tested some more because it'll be more pop and that kind of thing. Another fighter, Keith Thurman. Now this guy is not the orthodox fighter, so if you're the fighter or the fight fan that you like the real technical Juan Manuel Marquez systematically break you down, or a Barrera like box your head off type person, this is not the guy for you because Keith Thurman is really kind of unorthodox. He doesn't show like the most finesse, or he's not the most technically sound, but he's interesting. Something about him is interesting. We all know he has punching power. That's a given. And he's cocky, and it looks like he's willing to do the work. He's from Florida, Puerto Rican, and he's really boastful. And he looks like he's really willing to engage, and he's trying to make a statement. So I give him props. Like I said, when I first seen this dude, I was like, who the hell is this dude? But I mean, he keeps finding a way to win. He had some impressive knockouts, most recently against Carlos Quintana. Actually, if you watch that fight, that's pretty impressive what he did to Carlos Quintana, because Quintana has the ability to make fighters look sloppy. He's a fighter like Carlos Molina that fights at 154 pounds. Just a really awkward style. You could tell by Carlos Quintana's his posture, the way his body is set up. It looks like hunchback almost. It's just a really awkward style, and he has some pop to it, to his punches. So the fact that Keith Thurman, who's just a prospect at this point, was able to TKO him, and he had him hurt before that. I mean, that's something, because Carlos Quintana is definitely not a stepping stone fighter. He's a stealthy, crafty fighter. Who has the potential to get you out of there. He has like that sneaky power, that sneaky style. So I'm really anxious to see who Keith Thurman fights next. He was supposed to fight Maidana at 47. I hope he campaigns at 154, maybe even higher. I would like to see Keith Thurman fight somebody at 154, like maybe a Carlos Molina would be a good fight at 154. Hell, I would even rather see Canelo fight. If Canelo and Trout aren't going to fight or whatever, I'd rather see Canelo get tested against someone like that. At least we know this guy has power. See how both of the fighters fare. Keith Thurman and K9 Bundridge for a title. I mean, the sky's the limit. But I'm anxious to see how far his power and his unorthodox style will get him. But he's definitely someone to watch.